DJ Lil create vibes now.
Welcome to another episode of the Get a Love Like Mine podcast. We are your humble hosts. I'm Keisha Amos. This is my beautiful husband, Sam Amos. This is season 3, episode 5. Really knocking them out. We want to thank you guys for listening. We pray that the content that we've been putting out is glory to God's name, and that you guys are finding it helpful in your relationships and your parenting. Whatever you have going on, we pray that you are blessed. How was your week this week?
Not bad. Weeks just seem to be going by so fast. It seemed like the summer just started, and we're already in October, so the summer just kind of blew by. But not a bad week. It'll soon be holidays, some of our favorite time of the year, so looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, we pray that you guys enjoyed the episode from last week. And in keeping with that, we want to keep addressing things that you should be looking for in a potential life partner, or husband, wife. I think even if you're just looking to date with a purpose, these are the kind of questions you should be asking yourself before committing to someone. A lot of times we commit too soon and realize we don't really know our mate. My husband is big on saying you need to learn your spouse, learn your mate, learn your partner. And I feel like if you ask yourself some of these questions prior to committing, or at least prior to marriage, you can save yourself some heartache.
And headache.
The things we discussed last week, of course, we think you should ask yourself those questions. But one of the main questions, I think, people are big on energy these days. The vibe, the energy that you that's transferred from one being to the next. And you should ask yourself, how do you really feel when you're around that person? Do you feel safe? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel happy? Do you feel stressed? I think the energy that you receive from that person should be a big red flag of what your life is to become. Because if you're around this person and they're stressing you out in a dating process, I don't know why you would think it's going to get much better when you get married. Then you're going to have little stressed out kids and all kinds of stuff.
You mentioned a red flag, but we don't want to just point out bad things. So sometimes being around that other person is a green flag. Mm-hmm. So this might be somebody that you can learn from, like they are wise or educated, and when you're around them, you either can learn from them, or hopefully there's someone that is rooted and has the same spiritual beliefs that you do, so that you guys can experience that part of life together. And so that may bring out the spiritual side of you more just by being around them, which would be a green flag also. And so there are many green flags that you can look for that will help enhance how you think about them, how you feel about them, or once again, the energy that they put out, that you receive, so that you are delighted to be around them. Mm-hmm. It doesn't become a chore, or you start making excuses, you want to take the long way home. Because long way homes is a reality of life sometimes, when you have not, learned that person, or checked all the boxes of things to look for. You know, you want to give yourself time. You know, you hear older folks like us that will say, you know, take time. You know, don't rush into something. And the reason for that is you want to see how this person reacts in as many different situations / scenarios as you can that are just part of regular life, like when they are hungry or tired, sick, if they're broke, if they have a lot of money, if they have a lot of friend influence, if they have no friends, if they have family members that talk down on. All these things can trigger emotional ups or downs, and so reactions. So you want to get a chance to see that person in these scenarios, and probably let them see you in them as well, so that you guys can get a feel for who you're actually gonna go down this road with.
How they make you feel. I tell people this all the time. My husband, when I got with him, made me want to be better. He made me want to be more of a role model for my kids. Made me want to he discussed the Bible with me to the point where it interested me in reading it for myself. You'll read it, or I did read it when I'm in church, when the preacher would refer me to a scripture, but to actually come home and read it on your own and try to understand and try to learn about it. My husband not that he forced me, but just being around him just made me want to learn those things. He speaks from the Bible like he wrote it. So I will, go back and read something that he referenced, or like I said, just read it on my own. He made me want to stop drinking, just to live better. And I think that's like you said, a green flag. We definitely don't want to only point out the red flags. The point of this whole asking yourself how you feel around the person is to make sure that there are green flags, to make sure that there are not just red flags when you're around this person, because that is a very real feeling when you're around people. And it's not just in relationships. Sometimes it's with family. You feel red flags every time you're around. People dread going to the family reunion because they know this one aunt is going to ask them something or say something that's going to trigger them. Or your friendships. Sometimes your friendships can be stressful, and life is too short to have that type of energy transferred to you every time you get around a certain person. So, like I said, this is not just something that you should ask yourself about a potential life partner, but it's something you should ask yourself about anybody that, you're choosing to be around on a regular basis.
We watch the show Sisters by Tyler Perry. And one of the scenarios that I would like to speak on in the first couple of seasons, there was 3 characters. One is Zach, one is his old girlfriend Karen, and one is his new girlfriend Fatima. Mm-hmm. Well, he just couldn't get it together with Karen. They were always arguing. He just could never grow. He never felt like the man he wanted to feel like on the inside from their relationship. But then when he got with the next one, he says the reason he will never go back, because there are several episodes where Karen is really just having a fit to see him with the new girlfriend. Like, you need to just quit playing and come on back. He says, look, I'm not coming back because this woman makes me feel like I've never felt before. She makes me feel like I can do anything. Mm-hmm. She's transferring this energy to him to make him feel a way that his old girlfriend just couldn't get him there. Mm-hmm. So I think it's an awesome scenario to show the differences. It's not always about looks or how much money you have or what you have going on in your life. Sometimes it's just about, man, you make me feel like I can accomplish anything. You can encourage me where the other person I might have gave up and quit or felt down and depressed. Then, you know, here's another person that can transfer this positive energy to you.
I feel like another thing you should be looking at when you are considering committing to someone is, like my husband said, about how they react in different scenarios. But one thing you have to know about a relationship is that it's one person giving 100% and another person giving 100%. Sometimes, you know, I hear people say 50-50. It's not 50-50. If you're doing 50-50, then you are definitely not all in. But if you're giving 100% and they're giving 100%, sometimes there is still a level of compromise that has to be reached in your relationship. And you need to see how that other person, how much they are willing to compromise. Because I've heard people say, I just heard someone say this recently, oh, he thinks he knows everything. Or she thinks she's always right. Sometimes it's not about being right. It's about coexisting and being able to have a level of peace in your relationship. Yes, you may feel like you're right, but if you are gloating in that person's face and say, I told you, does that create a level of peace? Is that the type of energy you want to transfer to the other person? I would think not. But it's more so about compromise. Compromise, in my opinion, means even if I think I'm right or I think my way is the better way, I can still accept his way and still try it his way. You know, you have the number 8. There's several ways to get to 8. I mean, you can add, you can subtract, you can multiply. If you're trying to get from over here to over here, there's several ways that it can be done. So your level of compromise, I might want to do 2 plus 6. He may want to do 4 plus 4. Just because my way is right doesn't mean that his way is wrong. His way is just as right, and actually his way is easier. So I feel like your partner, if they never want to compromise, if it always has to be their way or no way, you know, again, I don't want to keep focusing on the red flags, but that is a red flag. That it may be the simplest of topics, and if they are that unwilling to compromise in something simple, when you get to something big, it's not going to get any better. When you get to you're having children and you're trying to decide what school your child is going to go to, whether they're going to go to private school or public school, or whether they're going to be homeschooled, and your partner is dead set on their way is right, it can create a level of stress. And now you got the kids stressed out because they don't know, like they might hear you arguing and they feel like they're the cause of you arguing because you're arguing over them, when all along it was just because you ignored the fact that they are not willing to compromise. And I'm not saying that people can't change. I'm not saying that if he's unwilling to compromise, you should just walk away. But it is a conversation. Anytime there's a problem that you can sense in your relationship, you ought to be able to have a conversation with the partner and express what you're feeling, and not yelling at them, not talking to them like you're their parent, but just in a way that you can help them to see they're not so willing to compromise.
One of the things I heard in listening to you speak on compromise to me shows 2 things. and I'm big on. I'll dive on the men in a minute, but this is something for the men and the women. This is for both sides. Compromise shows, number one, a level of maturity. Hopefully, you're mature enough where we can coexist in this arena and compromise. And it doesn't always have to be the same person compromise every time. Now let's get that out there in the street too. It's not gonna always be you need to bend over. Sometimes we both have to go down that road. That's what us being together is gonna be about. The other thing to me is huge, is what it shows, is how much you love that person. Now, if you really, really love that person, compromise is not a big problem. It's not a big subject. We can do this very easily. So with the level of maturity and the level of love that you have for this person, there's hardly anything that you guys shouldn't be able to hash out. And here's a big reason why this is going to come into play. Both of you guys were raised in different environments, right? You came from the way your parents or family raised you. They came from the way their parents or family raised them. And at some point, by y'all being in the house together, they have the potential to clash. It doesn't mean it's going to clash, but the potential is there. You see things your way and think this is the best way, and you can't fault them for seeing exactly like you see. I see things the way I see it. You see things, well, how are we gonna get to a meeting point here if we both feel like our way is right? Well, if you love one another, hopefully you can compromise and say, we can try this and then this. If that don't work, we can go to C. Or you may be at that level of maturity where you just like, I have full trust in the way you think. I checked out the way you handle your business, how you carry yourself, the way you look out for these kids, the way you look out for your sister's kids, your brother's kids. You're just there mentally. So I have no reason to doubt how you're going to be mentally with our kids. So I can fully allow, the green light for you to just take that and do whatever you feel is best, because I trust you there. But if not, hopefully the level of love you have will be high enough that at the bare minimum we can come together and figure out a compromise. Because it's bound to happen, like I say, because everyone comes from different backgrounds.
You said the level of love. I want you to expound on that. Because some people think, I love her, and that's it.
Well, without going too far off topic here, there are different levels of love. Okay, so anybody can say love with their mouth, but we speak in action here. So there's levels of love where hopefully that your mate will be your best friend. So the first level of love is you need to be able to communicate beyond the surface of you're just the other half of this household. Okay, I need to be able to talk to you about pretty much anything.
So first level of love is friendship.
Yeah, friendship and communication. Then there's more levels there, but one of the biggest levels, and I'll sit here and grade you all day on, not you specifically, but I will grade people on this all day long. What level of love are you when it comes to your money? If you can love this person and release the combination to your money, oh yeah, you in love. I know you in love. But if you hit it on the scratch off and it's a nice number, and the first thing you think is, I better keep that to myself and slide it in my front pocket, because I'm not ready to share that with her. Hey, she probably wouldn't have shared hers with me. See that? You just made an excuse. So your level of love ain't there yet. You got some growing to do. There's another level of, can you get down on your knees and pray with your wife? See, these are all levels that I want you to get to. So when you get there, there's no outside, there's no best friend, there's no co-worker, there's no family member that can come in and shake up your household and have that woman mad at you.
I tell you, a level of love that you didn't mention, but I know is in there, is how you love them when they're not around. Not just the money you decide to hide or tell them about when they're not around, but when you leave out the house to go to work, or leave out the house to go hang with your boys or hang with your girls, do you still love them? That all that mushy want to hug and kiss on them that you want to do when you're in the house, do you still feel that way when you leave out the house? Or do you leave out the house and be like, ooh, I'm free, I can go cut up and do whatever I want to do. She's not looking at what I'm doing. Or I can go hang out with my girlfriends and we can go to the bar and flirt and get somebody to buy us some drinks. Did your love change? Did your love level change when you left out the house?
There's a level there.
There's a level when you love them the same whether they're around or not.
And throw this in there too. When you leave, do you undo a couple of extra buttons on your outfit? That's still a level of love there. You're like, I don't want to be seen whether he's around or not. Versus, hey, I got an even shorter skirt in the back there. That he don't even know I had packed it. Hey,
I had that in the car.
Yeah,
So I can change it. It's a level of respect that you should have, whether they are around or not. That shows the level of love you're at.
Everybody's not gonna be who we are, right? But I mean, for all I know, we may be in the middle. There may be some above us, and
for real,
right, and some below us. So, but the whole concept is to get your love relationship, get all your levels up. Almost like a credit score. You got 3. Yeah, you got
bad, fair, good, and great.
Yeah. Experience and all them. Let's get all your love credits up, so that when your lady is out somewhere or she's at the family reunion or wherever she's at, and she can talk highly of you instead of other ways.
Where your husband at? Oh, I'm glad he didn't.
Wherever he at, let him stay there. Hey, it's funny, but we've heard all these things, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, you want to be that superhero with the cape on in her eyes, and you don't realize how much you play in that role of how you look in her eyes. So.
This is not really on topic, but this is something that what you just said reminds me of is a lot of times you'll come and tell me that your friends asked, where you find your wife at? I want a wife like yours. And I tell you all the time, it's not about me. It's about how you treat me that makes me be the wife like yours. Because you could really treat me a messed up way, and I can in turn treat you just as messed up. But you can go around and brag on how your wife is because of how you treat me. It's a level of compromise. And I tell you something else that that contributes to that is your partner's consistency. How consistent are they in their treatment of you? Do they, are they kind to you at all times? Are they respectful to you at all times? Or is it a case of sometimes they're nice and you're in the honeymoon phase when they're being nice to you, but sometimes when they've had a bad day or they may be broke or whatever, does their treatment of you change? And I think being consistent in your relationship, or having your partner be consistent, is something that you should also be looking at before you decide you want to be married. Because if, going back to the first thing, how they make you feel, if they make you feel safe on Monday and Tuesday, but on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you're scared to death that they're going to harm you or harm the kids, that's not consistent. And that level of up and down can cause you so much stress and anxiety. And like I said, when you are stressed and anxious, you're going to have stressed and anxious kids, because they're picking up the energy that you're putting out. I've seen so many couples that have separated, and their kids were actually happy that they separated, because the parents themselves were so much happier apart than they were when they were together. And that is a level of consistency that you need. That, like, if you're going to be a happy family and happy parents, you should be that all the time. Your kids, they pick up on all that you have going on.
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. That means bad news is coming, right?
Right.
Understand that you can choose the wrong person. It happens. And I see folks, listening to some of the things you were saying there, that'll stay and they don't know what version of that mate is coming home. When he come through the door, he may put his hands on you and we'll get past it some kind of way. But the whole time you're in denial, I don't just want to believe this is the wrong person for me. You are very capable of choosing the wrong person. So if you never prayed about what kind of person you want in your life, there's a possibility you could end up with some weeds. You just pulled up, you want green grass, but ain't number weeds here. So you need to be honest and real with yourself. And sometimes, you might have folks that really care about your well-being and looking out for you, trying to tell you, hey, you don't have any business dealing with that, on a regular basis. If there's something wrong with that person, either they need some help, you chose the wrong person. Look, I don't ever know of a reason why a man would put his hands on a woman. To me, that's the wrong guy. You can't stay in that and think, well, maybe it'll get better. I'm not saying it can. It can. God can fix anything. I promise He can. But my main thing is trust that you could have made a mistake. Instead of being I got to find ways that I contributed to his anger because I hadn't finished dinner when he came in the door. There's not a reason for a man to put his hands on you if dinner wasn't done. So you talk about consistency and being reliable. I can't just buy you flowers after I messed up and then we move past it until I mess up again and I buy some more flowers and then I mess up again and buy some more. We said, well, he's being consistent with the flowers at least. No, come on. That's not what this is. That's not the consistency that she's talking about. We're talking about somebody that's dependable with their consistency, not causing dysfunction in the household.
You mentioned reliable. I will name these two things. If your partner is a gambler, if they like to bet on the game or bet on anything, if they're a gambler, they're not going to be reliable. There's gonna come a time where you think the light bill got paid and you're gonna be sitting there and it's gonna go dark and he gonna have to break down and tell you, oh, I spent all the light bill money
on a sure thing.
I thought my dog was gonna come in, I thought my horse was gonna come in, but it didn't. That horse, he tripped over his own foot.
Rolled his ankle. Yeah. He just had a bad day.
They're not gonna be reliable. If they have a drinking problem, if they have a drug problem, they are not going to be reliable. It's just the two things just don't go together. They're not going to be consistent. They're going to have excuses every time you look around. I was drunk, I was high. That's why I did what I did. They're not going to be reliable. They're not going to be consistent. And if you are experiencing that prior to marriage, you need to reevaluate and make sure that you're not just choosing the wrong person. Because I know when I was growing up, 18, 19, I had a boyfriend. I just thought that I was going to have this fairy tale life, that the guy who I met was going to be the one. Like, he was going to be the only person I ever was with, and we were going to get married young, and we would be in our 40s, and we could say we've been married 20 years, and we have kids, and you just think you're going to have the fairy tale. So you ignore some of the things that should have been red flags. You ignore the inconsistency. And let me just add this about being 19, 20. The person you are at 19, 20 is not the same person you're going to be at 29, 30. It's definitely not the same person you're going to be at 39, 40. So trying to have that fairy tale, and not saying that it can't happen, because I definitely know some couples who got married young and stayed married.
Still together.
But guess what those couples do? They get down on their knees and pray together. They have grown together. They commute. They're best friends because they've grown up together. They are not sitting up ignoring the red flags. They can talk to each other about anything. So, I know we as young people feel like this is the one. I'm just going to make it work with this one person. You have to know that might not be the right person. One thing God gives us is free will. You have the power to choose whoever it is that you choose. You may decide this is the person, and I'm going to vow in front of God and my family that I'm going to love this person in sickness and in health, for better or worse. But you still could have chose the wrong person. Somebody that's not reliable or consistent.
That's right. And when you're younger, that's to me, just from what I've learned over the years of being an old guy, it's in your best interest to listen to older people that can see things that you can't see out on the field. See, sometimes when you're in the game, when you're young and you're in the game, man, it's hard to see around you. Now, when you get older, like me, I can be in the game and see around me at the same time. But when I was younger, I remember I couldn't see that good once I was down there. So there may have been people who were sitting way up in the stands that can look. Like my mom, my goodness, she had binoculars. She could see stuff, not just in dating women, girls. She saw them in the homeboys too. She saw stuff that I couldn't see. And I heard it come out of her mouth. And it made no sense to me. And the first thing you think is, oh, you just old and just saying some things that old people say. And now that I'm older, everything my mom ever told me was the truth. How she knew some of the stuff she knew, she was able to see it. I couldn't see it back then. But when I look at my own kids, now I understand how she saw what she saw. Because a wolf with a sheep coat on, he's still just a wolf. She could see through that coat. Like, it don't even fit you right. Like Martin said,
your wolf tail still wagging in the background.
I can see the tail. Like Martin said, something about this suit just don't hang right. But she could see that, and now that I'm in those shoes that she was in, I can see that for my own kids. But when you're younger, please find someone. It may be your parents. I have bad news. It may be your parents. I know nobody wants to hear this from their parents because they've heard rules from their parents all their life. Look, I don't want to hear no more rules from you. But hey, most of the time your parents are really just trying to look out for you. Just understand that. Because it can happen. It can happen that you can't see things that they see. But just give it a chance.
I think another one of the main things you should ask yourself about your partner is how do they manage conflict? How do they how do they treat you when they are upset? How do they treat the kids? Are they walking around punching holes in the walls because they're mad? Because punching a hole in the wall, even though they think they're showing restraint by not punching you and punching the wall instead, to me is a big red flag. Because why do you have to punch anything when you're mad? So for you to have that level of rage or anger and you're able to cause damage, like you could literally break your hand trying to punch the wall. And so you should ask yourself, how does this person manage conflict? Now, I'm not saying go, poke their buttons to see what they're going to do. Are you going to hit me? Are you, what are you going to do while I'm poking your buttons? But, I mean, you don't have to be the cause of their anger or their conflict, but you should still know how they manage it. How do they act when they get their paycheck and the check is messed up? Like what's their reaction? How do they act when you guys are out and someone steps on their shoe? What provokes them? What causes them to react, and how do they react? I think, I hate to promote this, but I also feel like if you're dating someone and, especially if you're young and you guys have decided you want to partake in alcohol, you need to figure out how they act when they're drunk. Now, if you don't drink, this does not apply to you. But if you are a drinker or your partner is, you need to figure out how they act, because guess what? When you guys get married, guess who is going to be the one that's responsible for cleaning up the sick that they have done in the back seat of your car, or responsible for carrying them inside because they have gotten so sloppy drunk that they can't even walk on their own. Those are the type of things that you should be learning prior to getting married, because that's not going to change. I'm not going to say it's not going to change, but it's not going to get better without some assistance from God. It's not going to get better without you guys praying and at least facing the problem head on, being able to communicate about it. Is he drinking, or is she drinking because she's mad? Is he or she drinking because they're using that as a coping mechanism to something else? These are things you definitely need to learn about your partner prior to committing, fully in that way. It's one thing to date seriously, but to actually say, I want to marry this person, you need to know all these things about them.
If possible. Adversity is huge, because it's going to always exist, whether it came from you or came from work, or just to drive home somebody cut you off and almost hit your Maserati. I don't know. And again, when you're young, your understanding, your temper, all that's completely different from when you get older. Somebody hit my car while it was parked at work. Now my car's black. Just so happened the car that hit it was white. Left a white scuff right down the side in the back. Now me at 20, I probably would have been inside the building looking for every white car owner. But at the age I am now, when I saw it, I couldn't do nothing but laugh, because the person drove off. They probably went and parked somewhere else
with their black paint on it.
Right. And okay, so what do you do here? You get your blood pressure up, You go down your list of cuss words that there's no reason to do any of that. There's nothing I can do about this. So let me just get in my car and go ahead and drive home. What I was about to do anyway, and see if I can get this off when I get home. But dealing with adversity now, there's a thin line here, and you're probably gonna have to deal with some things. Like she said, when alcohol's involved, that's just more you need to learn about this person. Mm-hmm. But when adversity comes, I want to say this: don't just throw the person away because they make a mistake. Okay, so yeah, you might have punched the wall. So now we need to discuss what you did, why you did what you did, and how are we going to move forward from here, because that can't happen every time. Now, if this was something that you have been going through coming up, growing up, and either it hadn't happened in a while or it was just a trigger and you need to discuss it and talk about it and go somewhere and think on it on your own. Like, she has every right to be afraid of me like I'm some kind of animal if I just turned into an animal and hit the wall. Nobody hits walls. Okay, so don't just throw this person away because they messed up. But if they're a constant messer-upper, you need to know that. Is all I'm saying, is what I'm saying. You need to know these are this person's tendencies, and don't be sitting there going, well, I understand where they're coming from when they drove the car into the ditch. They were just angry. Well, no, that's not a viable option in times of adversity. So how do they process adversity? When the money's low, when the check is wrong, when the milk is gone and I want some cereal, because
when somebody hits your car and drives off. And
you've been shining on it all week. Maybe you shouldn't put that much stock into that car. I understand you worked hard for it, and this is probably the best car you ever had, and I'm proud. There's nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is it's just stuff. Don't go down the street road raging and get shot. And you can still be living, but you was angry that somebody scuffed your car up and you lost your life.
Well, we hope that all of this is something that could have helped you, and now we are going to do Ask the Amoses. Okay, so for Ask the Amoses, let's see what we have.
We have a pretty good one today.
My husband was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis a month before our wedding. We've been married for 6 years, and he does literally nothing to contribute to our marriage or our life. He cannot work in a normal 8-hour job, which I understand. We have 3 kids, all under 5 years old. We have 4 dogs because he promised to care for them. And he literally does nothing at all. No cleaning, no child care, no taking care of the dogs, no cooking, no driving, nothing. He can drive short distances when he wants to go somewhere, like to be with his friends, but nothing that's helpful to me. I work full time. Fortunately, most of the time I can work from home. His symptoms are balanced, but he walks without assistance of any sort. He has numbness in his right hand and cannot write. He can't lift anything over 20 pounds. He doesn't process things fast, but he also has ADHD and doesn't listen or focus well. And he has depression, which he won't talk to his doctor about. He's always negative and miserable. Am I wrong for wanting to leave him? Whenever I mention how I need help, he says it's my fault for marrying him knowing he had multiple sclerosis. So what do you think about that?
Well, it's unfortunate that he has a disability or a health problem. I don't know if that's considered disability, but
it's disabling.
Right. But a lot of times just to answer these questions or deal with any situation in life, you just put yourself in those people's spot. Now, if I'm the guy with multiple sclerosis, I'm married, you're my life partner. We have kids together, house, a family. We built all this, dogs. I'm not gonna have all those dogs, but okay. Let's get that out. Let's squeeze that in there with some parentheses around it. But I can't put you on an island like that, regardless of my condition. So to say, oh, well, you knew what you were signing up for, that's just selfish. Mm-hmm. As I said, I can't do that. And to say, okay, I'm not even going to attempt to help you do anything because I'm going to use my condition as a crutch. Well, I really don't have to do anything because she know what time. No, come on, man. In other words, your life is over. Life is over for this relationship, and you even trying to participate in life because you feel like, well, pity party on me. Well, you're still able. There are more people that have what you have and worse that still will swap places with you. That can't do half the stuff you can do, you just won't do. See, I have a problem with that. I get on my son all the time, or at least at one time I did. Totally able-bodied. Won't help nobody do nothing. Eat in the house, up in the room all the time. Man, there are people paralyzed right now that will switch places with you in a minute. That will grab the vacuum and vacuum this whole house if they could. And here you are perfectly able and won't do it. Well, see, it's a beautiful thing when willing and able meet each other. But the problem in society is people that are willing, well, they're not able no more. They're in the wheelchair. If I could, I would get up. And the people that are able, they go in the gym working out. I don't want to go help you. I don't want to help clean the house. I'm just not. But when they meet, it's a beautiful thing. And I feel sorry for the wife in this because I can just listen to her tell the story. She's gotten to a point of keeping score. So I'm saying, now you're sitting here counting up what you do versus what he doesn't do. And now this whole thing, the plane was already going down. But you cut off whatever little engine was on that thing to make sure it goes down. I'm going to contribute to this plane going on the water. So y'all should understand I don't want to fly this flight no more. So look, we got an issue here. No one wants to communicate. And when they do, it's not coming out on the upside of green flags. You're saying, oh, you knew what you signed up for. So it's a really bad situation. It's selfish is what it is.
So I think that he is selfish, but I also think that she played a major role in this. And I'm not going to victim blame, because to me, in this situation, he's the victim, not her. But for her, number one, I know he found out he had multiple sclerosis before you got married. A month before. So it's safe for me to assume that the wedding was already being planned when you found out this. And one thing you know about a wedding is that you are about to vow in sickness and in health, for rich or for poor, in the good and the bad times. So you signed on to spend the rest of your life with this man knowing that he was sick before you even got married. So then my next train of thought is, why do you have 3 kids with this man that you knew from the first one wasn't helping you or couldn't help you? You know he can't drive, you know he can't work. Why are you still having all these kids? And why on earth would you bring not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 dogs in? What kind of sense does that make? To bring in all this added responsibility. I can tell you how that man is looking. Why he's saying it's on you, because you are sitting over there acting like you Superwoman. You knew it was going to be on you when you had the first kid, when you had the second kid, when you had the first dog, the third dog. You knew it was going to all fall on you. So I don't understand how now you want to leave. Are you going to leave him with the kids and the dogs, or are you taking the dogs with him? Because I don't think he is the only problem. You have too much. I don't know if you're looking for love somewhere that you I don't know what will possess somebody to have kids with someone that you know is not capable of helping you. I don't know all the symptoms for multiple sclerosis, but I bet you in that month between when he was diagnosed to your wedding that y'all found out everything that could have gone wrong. This man is going to experience paralysis. He may experience blindness. So you have brought on all this added responsibility. I don't know if you thought that was going to make him, like, give him motivation to do more. But I don't think it's a cure for multiple sclerosis. So his symptoms are only going to get worse. So I just don't understand the mindset of I'm going to put all this added responsibility on myself and then blame him for not helping. You knew he wasn't going to be a help to begin with. So if you do leave, are you taking the kids? Are you taking the dogs? Because now you still are responsible for all these added things. And now he's gone. So, you know, I do see what he said as being selfish, but I feel like that's a monster she created.
And see, you know me, I'm gonna be the person that I'm gonna look at it through what came from the disabled husband. So I see her going on with being married, knowing that you had an illness. Okay, so that means that she was all in. I really want to be with you. Did you disclose, you know what you signing up for before y'all got married, when you said, well, look, this is what we mean by learn, you know, who you getting involved with. Mm-hmm. Did he wait until after we got married and got years down the road and say, well, you know, I wasn't, you knew before we got married I wasn't going to help you, or you knew I was going to be dragging around here or not interested in helping, so, hey, you did that to yourself. See, if you said that on the front end, before you got married, y'all might not have had all them dogs and kids. Mm-hmm. Y'all probably wouldn't have got married at all. So don't sit here and hug on her like I'm so happy we together that you decided to go on and be with me anyway, mm-hmm. knowing I had a problem. And then once you get in there, now it's time for me to show out a little bit. You know, that ain't no good to me. You could have done, we could have saved a lot of that on the front end.
Well, I feel like everyone deserves to be happy. I feel like you guys need to pray about that situation. You need to pray for your husband's health. You need to pray for your kids, for your dogs, for your sanity, because it sounds like she's just at a level of frustration where...
Well, it's a lot. It is a lot, right? That
where really reality is setting in, that I have created this picture perfect family of the kids and the dogs and the husband, and it's all falling on me. You know, I spoke on this once before. A lot of times women get overwhelmed with having that superwoman complex. You want to prove to the world that you can have your cake and eat it too, that you could be a great mom and be, you know, the boss of your own company, or, you know, you can work 40 hours a week and still come home and cook and clean and do laundry. And you are setting yourself up for failure if that is your goal. Not saying you can't do it all, but why would you want to? Why would you want to take on all that responsibility when, well, not in her particular situation, but in most situations, you can have a man that can hold you down and help. In her situation, I feel like you knew he wasn't going to be any help, and you shouldn't have bit off more than what you could chew. But if you leave, you still got 3 kids and 4 dogs. you just lost him, and now he's probably got to go back and live with his mama or his sister or somebody who's gonna help take care of him because he still can't work. Then you're gonna have a level of guilt, like, oh, I left him when he needed me the most. It's a bad situation. But anyway, if you guys have a question or a topic that you want us to discuss, send us an email at getalovelikamindepodcast@gmail.com. If you're not already following us, make sure you do so on Facebook and Instagram at Get a Love Like Mine Podcast. And we will see you next week. Happy Sunday.